Hi everyone, Gen X Fusion here giving you another video on some Dauntless gameplay. Well, actually it's not gameplay. What I'm going to be doing in this specific series is I'm going to be reading from the game of Dauntless within the journal. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be reading the Behemoth info section of the journal. I noticed that many people probably don't read the descriptions of the Behemoths. And so I thought I'd go ahead and compile a little bit of a reading of all the information of the Behemoths on Dauntless for your listening pleasure. I hope you enjoy it. Flameborne Nasher. Many experts at the Ori School of Behemoth Studies, including the dean herself, Dr. Piriyani, have found that neutral and radiant behemoths seem especially vulnerable to the influence of Torgadoro's blazed and fused domain. She and Aethersmith Arkandrew have put their heads together on the subject and believe centuries of aetheronic resonance have created a natural bridge between the frequencies of radiant and blaze that tunnels directly through the neutral medium, making it much easier for the Flameborne ADNA to infuse behemoths like the straightforwardly furious Gnasher. Though mostly confined to the blazing islands surrounding Mount Torgadoro, they have even begun to gnaw their way into a few scattered hunting grounds in the Shattered Isles. Cat's hunting tips. The Flameborne Nasher fights with more agility than its lumbering cousin, while retaining most of its lethal physical characteristics: teeth, tail, and stomping feet, and some instinct, perhaps reacting to the sensation of constantly being aflame, causes this subspecies to spin more than its neutral cousin, catching many an unprepared slayer off guard. When the Flameborne Nasher stomps in fury, the blaze within its feet erupts from the point of impact. With nowhere to go, this energy launches into the air to rain good to great balls of fire upon the surrounding area. Deepfrost Nasher. Unlike the Urska and the nearly unrecognizable Deepfrost Embermane, the icy evolutionary offshoot is a relatively recent arrival to Skaldskar. Known to the Skaldish as the Snowboar, the Deepfrost Nasher wasted little time spreading throughout the Skaldish realm. To the dismay of Dr. Priyani and her colleagues, some individuals have even been spotted on frozen islands at higher elevations. The doctor theorizes that soon they could even supplant ordinary Nashers throughout much of the Scattered Isles. Most Deepfrost Nashers seem particularly furious, even by Gnasher standards. Dr. Piriyani suspects the species finds water that never melts particularly maddening. She believes this offers concrete support for her hypothesis that the ancients employed genetic material from an extinct rodent called the Baybire in the Gnasher's creation. Cat's hunting tips. Many of the Deepfrost Nasher's moves will look familiar, but be careful. This chilly, chew-happy challenger is full of surprises. When aether charged, the Deepfrost Nasher will chill any slayers hit by its attacks. The Gnasher. The Gnasher is a reptilian mammalian bully that always seems to be on the edge of rage. Among the more common behemoths found in the Shattered Isles, these ferocious but fairly predictable creatures are often the first prey of an apprentice slayer, yet they should never be underestimated. Gnashers instinctively use their chopping teeth to dig into the earth for arcanite fragments, but those mighty incisors can just as easily snap a tree trunk or a slayer's leg in two. The wide, flat tail they use to clear away obstacles to the aether they crave can also crush slayers flat with a single slam. Gnashers prefer neutral arcanite, untinged by the elements, but are known to be opportunistic feeders. Cat's hunting tips. Cut off the Gnasher's tail to prevent tail swipes. Interrupt a Gnasher by striking its head when it performs a belly crawl attack. The Gnasher's stomp can knock you flat, roll through, or away from it. Rezakiri. The radiant-powered Rezakiri, an insectoid behemoth with elegant wings of radiant latticed arcanite, was believed extinct for centuries. Even the orrery, which has maintained meticulous historical records since the upheaval, had begun to classify stories of the winged demon of cutting light as historically unconfirmed, and Dr. Piriyani was ready to declare the Rizakiri a vivid legend, but not supported by physical evidence. As if to correct the record in the flashiest way it could, the species suddenly re-emerged just before she had the opportunity. Umbral behemoths take advantage of darkness and the power of the umbral void to survive, and radiant behemoths, like the Rizakiri, thrive on sunlight. But even though their powers and abilities are based in the brightest end of the etheric spectrum, each are just as deadly to biological life. Umbral aether eats away at its victims from within, while radiant aether destroys organisms from without, one cell at a time. The Rezakiri returned to the Shadowed Isles, a living legend, but Cat and the slayers she leads aim to make sure this is one behemoth that goes back to being a myth. Cat's hunting tips. A Rezakiri will try to trap players in radiant prisms to protect itself when its health runs low. If the Rezakiri succeeds in trapping players in radiant prisms, the crystalline domes can be broken by battering them extensively with slayer weapons. Flameborne Rizakiri. According to the ancient texts preserved within the orrery's sacred library, the fusion of blaze and radiant aether was one that pre-upheaval scientists apparently thought impossible. But within the living crucible that is in the Flameborne Rizakiri, the unpredictable destructive power of the Torgadoro and the vagaries of etheric resonance have succeeded where those long-dead etheric geneticists failed. The Flameborn subspecies of every slayer's radiant nightmare wields blaze with ease. Attacks and instincts honed by centuries of immersion in razor-edged radiant space-time now linger and spread like a living thing. Its winged insectoid form has proven quite well suited for its fiery new purpose. Cat's hunting tips. The Flameborne Rizakiri steals a few tricks from the Embermane, sending balls of blaze as well as burning beams of destruction raining down on unready slayers. Protection from blaze is more important than ever when facing this agile, fiery flyer. Like the Flameborne Nasher, this blaze-feeding Rezakiri subspecies is even more agile and aggressive than its more well-known cousin, particularly with tail and claw attacks. Don't spend so much focus on its blaze powers that you ignore its lethal physical abilities. Quillshot. The Quillshot is a relatively widespread species of burrower with the tusks and skull of a charging boar, the hide of mythical rhino, and porcupine-like spines growing from its armored back. These are no mere barbed hairs, but razor-sharp spikes of living arcanite. The Quillshot can regenerate by feeding on any kind of aether in the vicinity. Though it is happiest devouring raw, neutral arcanite like many widely distributed behemoths, it isn't particular.
Like all behemoths, Quillshots have continued to evolve at an escalating rate thanks to the biologically active aether that suffuses their bodies. On islands dense with charged aether, Slayer scouts have reported strange, elementally imbued subspecies arising near the heart of the maelstrom, and Slayers hunting the blaze-steeped islands where the Torgadoro reigns supreme report fiery Quillshots with exploding spines that rain down like etheric artillery. Although Cat Sorrel and figures like Dr. Shahid Priyani are doing their best to eradicate the species, odds are good the versatile adaptable Quillshot will be prowling the Shattered Isles for ages to come. Every Slayer should be ready to face one at any time, in any place. Cat's hunting tips. The Quillshot's body is covered with quills that act as offensive weapons and defensive armor. Break the spines, growing from 4 distinct areas to neutralize the Quillshot's advantages, then break the exposed areas beneath. A Quillshot can be interrupted by dealing heavy damage during a quill volley attack while it is enraged. Flameborne Quillshot. The Flameborne Quillshot has already sent both figurative, literal shockwaves through the Slayer community, forcing a drastic reassessment of how dangerous a Quillshot can truly be. Like other Flameborne behemoths, it displays more aggression and attacks more quickly than the ordinary neutral Quillshot. The blaze on which it feeds has completely suffused the already lethal spines on its back, and the furious fire in its belly drives it frequently into the earth, as if it is trying to stifle the blazing fire that both powers and consumes it. If nothing else, scorched Slayers can take some bitter solace in the fact that the Flameborne Quillshot's existence is likely one of burning agony. Cat's hunting tips. The Flameborne Quillshot spines are made of volatile blaze arcanite. If you manage to dodge them, keep moving. The spines will explode within seconds. If you can't get out of the way in time, you can use your weapon to knock the Flameborne Quillshot's spines away. The spines will detonate wherever they come back down, causing explosive damage to island, creature, and behemoth. It's time to turn Slugger Slayer. Angle your hit just right, and you can even send those missiles right back whence they came, the Flameborne Quillshot itself. Since its volatile spines can also damage other creatures, consider slaying the Flameborne Quillshot last in a multiple behemoth fight. If carefully managed and deflected, they'll provide a welcome boost of extra firepower when you need it most. Shroud. The Shroud is part avian nightmare, part unspeakable horror. Its grim, imposing visage cloaked in shadow except for its glowing eyes. It bears a passing resemblance to other feathered behemoths like the shrike or scrave, but has little in common with them beyond a general avian bipedal shape and long wings used for short glides. The head of the Shroud is elongated and dome-like, as if it was wearing a hooded cloak, and it has 3 glowing eyes that flash like haunting beacons in the darkness of the umbral void. The Shroud's raven-like appearance indicates to some scholars that the creature is not just a behemoth, but a predicted mutation brought on by extended exposure to umbral aether. The similarity to crows and other corvids may simply be a coincidence, however. The midnight black coloration of the behemoth's feathers and scales, as well as its heavy dragon-like tail, could instead reflect predictable features present in many umbral-powered lifeforms. Cat's hunting tips. A Shroud will grow desperate when low on health, and spawn more clones and umbral doom orbs. Shrouds can be interrupted while gliding during their rage phase. The Shroud's Umbral Corruption will apply the corrupted status effect, draining health and stamina. Attack the Shroud or its clone to clear the corruption away. A Shroud will spawn Umbral Doom Orbs that will detonate if left long enough. The damage dealt will reduce all Slayers to 1 health point. So if you can't stop the detonation, make sure you have healing at the ready.
Hi viewers, remember to subscribe, like the video, comment, and click on the little bell to receive notifications of future content. Have a good one.